I sailed the biggest cruise ship in the world, Icon of the Seas. 7 pools, a water park, an ice rink, 8 neighborhoods, and more than 40 places to eat. Basically, the cruise industry looked at Holiday and said, what if we added everything? And honestly, it makes sense. Bigger ship, more attractions, more restaurants, more choice, and more is better, right? I mean, that was convincing. Until I sailed Celebrity Apex, the ship with less of almost everything, and enjoyed it considerably more. The strange part, I paid exactly the same for each, which completely ruined my favorite explanation. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why bigger ship lost, and whether you might actually be happier on the smaller one too. Icon is incredible. So before anyone gets angry, let's be fair, Icon of the Seas is genuinely extraordinary. The first time you board, it's even difficult to process. You walk through a neighborhood thinking you've seen the ship, and then there is another and another until you've seen them all. In total 8. At some point, it stops feeling like a cruise ship and starts feeling like someone built a theme park, decided it needed a hotel, added a water park, and then thought, you know, what this ocean really needs is a garden. And an ice rink, since we had it. And honestly, it's impressive. The engineering, the ambition, the sheer scale of the thing. I completely understand why people fall in love with it. But if I'm being honest, something started bothering me early on. The noise, the crowds, the constant sense that I've been moved through a very efficient system. The dining room was enormous. The food was perfectly acceptable, industrial, efficient, designed to feed thousands of people with remarkable consistency. And it did exactly that. It kept me alive. But I'm just not sure I'd go further than that. Everything worked, everything was organized, everything ran on time. But sometimes I felt less like a guest and more like a unit moving through a well-managed production line. And after 2 days, I realized that feeling wasn't going away. In fact, once I noticed it, I couldn't stop saying it everywhere. And here's what makes this comparison particularly interesting. Royal Caribbean and Celebrity aren't actually enemies. They're sister brands of the same parent company. 2 very different ideas of what cruising should be like. Royal Caribbean is this big, bold, family thrill machine, while Celebrity is positioned more like a premium, calmer, more refined option. Which sounds mostly like marketing language, until you sail both for the same price and realize, no. Actually, there is a massive difference. Alright, the problem nobody talks about. Cruise lines love talking about attractions. What they are less enthusiastic about is sharing what happens when 7,000 people join the party. And that's where it started. Not a problem exactly, more a feeling, a sense that the entire ship had been engineered around managing scale. Which makes sense, because it has to be. Everything worked, people got fed, got entertained, got moved from one place to another. The operation was incredibly efficient. Germans would probably give it an award. But the more time I spent on board, the more aware I became of the machinery underneath the Holiday. And Icon is very good at it. It's not criticism per se. The criticism is rather that I could feel it. Now, if you're thinking, so the answer is smaller ships? Not exactly, because Apex isn't small, not even remotely. It carries thousands of passengers, but somehow it feels completely different, and I think I know why. So what surprised me about Apex? The first morning on Apex, I got a cup of coffee, an actual one, you know, with beans. And somewhere around the second cup, something dawned on me. Not because of the coffee, although it probably helped. It wasn't just one thing that worked on Celebrity. It was sort of everything. The cabin, the restaurants, the spa, the public spaces, the overall feel, even the buffet. On Icon, everything felt industrial. On Apex, everything felt intentional. The buffet was still huge, but the layout was so clever that people spread out naturally. No queues, no chaos, no feeling that 6,000 people are attempting to seize control of the buffet before the opposing faction arrived. Restaurants felt different too. Not just the menus, but different atmospheres, different design, different personalities, as though somebody had designed them for people to spend time in, rather than simply to process calories efficiently, which, to be fair, is also an important cruise ship function. The spa was where the difference became impossible to ignore. On Celebrity, the spa is a destination. A place you actively want to spend time in. Floor-to-ceiling ocean view, heated loungers, saunas, steam rooms, it's quiet, beautiful space. On icon, there is a spa. And this is all the enthusiasm I can give it. There were no windows. It felt less like a core idea of the ship and more like somebody walked into the meeting 3 weeks before launch and asked, should we also have a spa? It was the smallest spa I've ever seen at sea, which is ironic because we are on the largest cruise ship in the world. Built in Finland of all places, and they never even bothered to add Finnish sauna, which must have been insulting to Finns. Even the cabin felt different. Larger, better finished, more thoughtful, sort of room that felt genuinely premium, not extravagant, but considered. Now, to be fair, there's one thing that Icon does better, which is the entertainment. The AquaDome and Aqua Show, Absolute Zero, and the ice shows, the technology, the ambition. Nobody does spectacle better than Royal Caribbean. That's just the fact. But somewhere along the way, I sort of realized I no longer wanted more spectacle. I wanted a comfortable chair, a quiet corner, good coffee, and an uninterrupted view of the sea. Maybe I've matured, possibly I'm simply getting old. The jury is still out. But that's when it clicked. People think premium cruising is about getting more. I don't think that is the case. I think it's about getting something better. And those are not the same thing. Now let's return to the price. The thing that genuinely surprised me. Again, the cruises cost exactly the same. Not roughly the same, not close enough, exactly the same. Both were Caribbean routes, both were 7 nights, inside cabins, and were just over $2,500. And that matters, because I always assumed premium cruising would cost dramatically more. Most people do, and sometimes it is the case, but not always. So this wasn't a simple case of, well, Celebrity was better just because it was more expensive. Once the price is identical, the comparison changes completely. It's no longer which ship costs more, it becomes which ship did I actually enjoy more. And I preferred the one with better coffee and nobody screaming about shuffleboard, which probably tells you everything you need to know about what sort of cruiser I am. So who should sail each? Now, I'm not saying Apex is better for everyone. For families, Icon is extraordinary. For kids and teenagers, Icon wins. For people who want every possible activity packed into a single week, Icon might be the best ship ever built. But here's the thing. I never once stepped off Apex wishing it had more. More restaurants, more attractions, more neighborhoods, more of anything. What I wanted from a holiday, it already had. And that was surprising, because before sailing both ships, I assumed bigger automatically meant better. Now I'm not so sure. Maybe there comes a point where adding more things doesn't necessarily make the experience better. It just makes it bigger. After sailing both ships, I realized that I was asking the wrong question. I used to ask which ship has more. Now I'm asking which ship is likely to give me a more enjoyable holiday. Icon was an extraordinary machine. But Celebrity Apex made me feel like a guest, rather than a production unit. Like the ship existed for me, not the other way around. And maybe that's the real future of cruising. Not adding more, but removing the things that annoy people. If this made you reconsider which ship to book, subscribe, because I'm out there conducting increasingly expensive research projects on your behalf. The least you can do is subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.